My fiance ended things right after we moved for her job, and now she wants me out of our apartment so she can have a romantic night with her coworker. Posted by you/brokenhearted118. I was with my fiance for 4 years, and we've been engaged for about a year. We were deep into wedding planning, talking about venues, guest lists, and saving up for deposits. Just last month, everything changed when she got a job offer in a city across the country. I wasn't thrilled about leaving my job, our friends, and all our family, but I wanted to support her and her career. I'll admit I was grumpy during the move, but once we settled in, I tried to be supportive and make the best of it. After we moved, she started talking a lot about this guy at her new job. He was a few years older, and the way she described him made me uneasy. I met him at a couple of after-work events, and he rubbed me the wrong way right away. He always had to be the center of attention and acted like he was above everyone else. I didn't like how he interacted with my fiancée, and we argued about it a few times. She always told me I was overreacting or being jealous. Then, on Tuesday night, she came home late and sat me down. She told me she wanted to break up. She said she felt an instant connection with her coworker, stronger than anything she'd ever felt before. This was the same person who, just a few months earlier, told me she felt most at peace when she was with me. I was completely blindsided and devastated. That night, I lay awake on the couch, feeling like my entire life had just fallen apart. I barely slept and finally crashed around 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. When I woke up, she was there, waking me up to tell me she needed the apartment to herself for Valentine's Day. She said she was having her coworker over for a date. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I had no money for a hotel, no friends in this new city, and my name wasn't even on the lease. We thought it would be easier if everything was in her name since she had the job and better credit. She told me that wasn't her problem anymore and that I had to figure out on my own. We got into a huge fight about it. I told her I wasn't going to leave, but she insisted her date was happening no matter what. She said his roommate needed their place for a date, so she offered up our apartment. I asked why they couldn't go somewhere else, like a restaurant or a hotel, but she just started listing all the ways I'd failed her in our relationship and said she wasn't going to fix things for me anymore. I felt completely helpless and humiliated. I was too embarrassed to tell my family or friends what had happened. I didn't want to admit that I had uprooted my whole life for someone who could treat me this way. People online told me to stand my ground and not leave the apartment, but the idea of watching her be with someone else right in front of me in our home felt unbearable. I thought about trying to find a compromise, but nothing seemed possible. I tried to take a walk to clear my head, but I just felt lost. I kept thinking about everything we'd been through together and how quickly it had all fallen apart. I didn't know what to do or where to go, and I felt completely alone. I even considered calling my parents for help, but I was too ashamed and couldn't bring myself to tell them what had happened. Plane tickets home were expensive, and I didn't have the money anyway. I spent hours reading the comments and messages people sent me online. Some people told me to stay and make her uncomfortable, while others offered to buy me a ticket home or even hang out with me if we were in the same city. I appreciated every single message, even if I couldn't respond to everyone. It was a strange comfort to know that strangers cared when I felt so alone. I ended up telling her I wouldn't leave, but deep down, I knew I couldn't actually sit there and watch her go on a date with someone else in our apartment. I was completely heartbroken and didn't know how to handle the situation. I tried to think of any way to salvage my dignity or at least get through the day without falling apart. Update 1 year later. It's been a year since that awful Valentine's Day, and I finally feel ready to talk about what happened. I want to thank everyone who supported me when I had no one else to turn to. I didn't update sooner because I was so embarrassed about how things went, but therapy helped me work through it and be honest with myself. Looking back, I realized I was desperate to hold on to what we had. Right before we moved, I found a charm that my ex had lost, a keepsake from a close relative who had recently passed away. That relative had been thrilled to see us get engaged and had given my ex the charm when she was a child. When my ex lost it, she was devastated. I thought it would be meaningful to surprise her with it at our wedding, as a way to honor her relative's memory. After the breakup, I convinced myself that if I gave her the charm on Valentine's Day, she'd remember everything we shared and have change of heart. I planned to give it to her before her date, hoping it would make her reconsider. But things didn't go as planned. She came home with her coworker, not alone like I expected. The whole thing was incredibly awkward. He was condescending, and she got furious, accusing me of stealing the charm. I couldn't explain myself, and I ended up leaving the apartment, wandering the city all night because I couldn't face being there. Eventually, I fell asleep in the hallway outside our apartment building, which was a real low point for me. But that was the bottom. Things slowly got better after that. I managed to move back to my hometown, and my old employer was kind enough to give me my job back. I even started dating again and met someone new, though that relationship didn't last. Even though I'm alone again this Valentine's Day, I'm in a much better place. Therapy taught me a lot about myself, and gave me the tools to cope with difficult times. As for my ex, I heard she ended up marrying the coworker. Her sister still texts me sometimes and told me that her family can't stand him, but that's not my problem anymore. I'm focused on moving forward and taking care of myself. I'm grateful to everyone who reached out with advice, support, or even just an offer to talk. It meant more to me than I can say. I've learned that it's okay to be sad sometimes, but I'm also proud of how far I've come. Compared to last year, this Valentine's Day feels like a victory.